So you guys might be wondering why I'm just now doing this review in comparison like many months after the Samsung Galaxy S10 and the Galaxy Note 9 have been released. But I'll be honest, I totally forgot about the Galaxy Note 9. Like I forgot to pick it up, and because so many other things were going on at the time, even when the Galaxy S10 came out with the iPhone leaks and all those different things, like the Note 9 was just one of those last phones that I forgot to get. But I finally got one. I did a SWI. As you guys know, I don't call it "Is it still worth it in?" Not a double I SWI anymore. It's only just a still worth it in type of video. I have to rename that playlist as well, but I think it's kind of cool that we're taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 and the Samsung Galaxy S10 right now, because the Galaxy S10 in the used market has depreciated quite a bit, and the Galaxy Note 9 has depreciated quite a bit as well. So in the used market, even though brand new prices, the Galaxy Note 9 is probably still more expensive, the Galaxy Note 9 is actually cheaper in the used market than the Galaxy S10. And obviously if it was between the two, and obviously they both have their pros and their cons, but we're just going to go ahead and take a look which one you should get. Do you think you should save money? Do you think you should go to the bigger size with the Galaxy Note 9 or the smaller size with the Samsung Galaxy S10? And features wise, you'd be shocked. You might assume the Galaxy S10 has more features, but that isn't really the case. I mean, not for the most part, but let's go ahead and take a look at them. So on the outside, you can definitely tell they almost look exactly the same. You can see on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 is obviously a much bigger design, but they both have much smaller bezels. The Galaxy Note 9 has the top bezel and the bottom bezel, with the camera being in the top bezel, where the Samsung Galaxy S10 has that hole punch display, pretty much bezel-less altogether. Now, one thing that I've noticed by owning both of these phones, I've owned the Galaxy Note 8, I've now officially almost owned every single Galaxy Note device, and I've almost owned every single Samsung Galaxy S series device as well. And what I can tell you from using both of these side by side is that you honestly don't care so much about the bezel on either of these devices. Like, yes, the Samsung Galaxy S10 is kind of novelty because there's almost no bezel on it, but you also have that hole punch camera, which can be a turnoff for a lot of people. But the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, because of that top bezel and the bottom bezel, like, it's barely there. I think, in my opinion, I like the way the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 looks as of now, after I've been using the Galaxy S10 for so many months and the Galaxy Note 9. I'm so familiar with that design now. I really like the Galaxy Note 9, and it's kind of personal preference here, but ultimately I think I prefer that one. Now, in terms of the screen sizes, I kind of wanted to say my personal experience with it, then get to the specs after. The Note 9 has a 6.4 inch 1440p Super AMOLED display, a killer display, literally like amazing display. The Samsung Galaxy S10 has a dynamic AMOLED display. That one is 6.1 inches, and that is also clocked at 1440p. Surprisingly though, the pixels per inch are higher on the Samsung Galaxy S10 than on the Note 9. And we have 550 pixels per inch on the S10, 516 on the Note 9. Now, is it a big deal? Is it crazy? Not really. I mean, if there's been crazier things happening between both of these phones since their releases, but I do think the screens on these things are super sick. They're very nice. Maybe the S10 has the advantage, but I do like a bigger display. And even though the Note 9 is only like 0.3 inches bigger in the display section, like, it feels like a noticeably bigger device. And you can see from my comparison and me holding them, like, it is a bigger device overall. And are you going to hate on it? It's kind of up to you whether you like a bigger display or a bigger phone or not. But that is one thing I immediately noticed. They both have IP68 dust and water resistance as well. So in terms of that, they're going to, have almost the same type of experience on both the devices. Both have glass on the back as well. And ultimately, they're both very premium feeling phones. But one interesting thing though is when we look on the back of both of the phones, you'll see on the Note 9 we have a dual camera setup and a fingerprint sensor right below that. And I'll definitely tell you, I'll get into the cameras later, but I kind of like the Note 9's fingerprint sensor, but all at the same time, I think it's the worst placement ever. They should never put it anywhere near the camera. You're going to keep smearing the camera, and I always found it to be the worst, especially how it was on like the older Samsung Galaxy S series devices as well, including the Galaxy S8. Horrible placement. Where the Galaxy S10 has an inbuilt screen fingerprint sensor, which is killer. It's one of the best features about this phone, and the fact that we're going to see this technology port over to the Galaxy Note 10 as well is going to be awesome. And that's one of the biggest features of the Galaxy S10 at its release, which is so sick. So that pretty much covers the outside, like I've stated. Now, moving on to the actual performance of both of these devices. Now, I think both of these phones are extremely fast. I even just said like yesterday that the Note 9 is one of the fastest phones I've ever owned and I've ever felt. Well, like, you know what I mean? Where the Galaxy S10 is also one of the fastest phones I've ever owned. And over time, phones do get slower. Sometimes they get updates that make them slower. Sometimes apps aren't supported and all this other stuff. But since both of these devices do have very large PPIs and also high resolution screens, there can be a time where both of them are sluggish at the same time or whatnot. Now, I did do a speed comparison between both of them, and I did find, surprisingly, overall, even though the Samsung Galaxy S10 is the newer device, the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 actually was the faster device between both of them. It was faster at opening apps. In terms of the gameplay itself too, I kind of saw that the Note 9 was kind of faster there too. I mean, is it a crazy difference? Not really. It's like a split second between both of them, but it is kind of a noticeable amount, which is surprising. I honestly was not expecting that. Now, in terms of the specifications inside both of those phones, on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, we have an Exynos 9810 chipset on some variants, but on mine I have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 chipset, an octa-core CPU, and on my variant that I own, I have 6 gigs of RAM, where the Samsung Galaxy S10 has the Exynos 9820 chipset, or on other versions an updated Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset, which is the one I have on right now, an octa-core CPU, and on my variant and on all variants of the S10, they have 8 gigs of RAM, and specs on paper, you would probably assume the Samsung Galaxy S10 is faster. It has a much better chipset, more RAM, all those different things, but like I stated before, specs on paper does not necessarily translate to actual performance, and that's why I always save the specs for last, because it's not that big of a deal. Like if a phone has 20 gigs of RAM and 10 gigs of RAM, are you going to automatically assume the 20 gigs of RAM phone is faster? No, I mean, yes, it might be better at storing apps in the background and opening it up later, but ultimately it's not that big of a deal. I would definitely tell you between both of these phones in terms of performance, the Note 9 might be a little bit faster here and there, but I don't think it's worth an upgrade or switching between both of the devices. I'm honestly more surprised that the Note 9 is faster than the S10, considering the fact that the S10 is technically more expensive in the used market than the Note 9 is now. So the choice is yours in there, but you can tell from the speed comparison that I did, the Note 9 is just a little bit faster. Now, in terms of software support, this is where the Note 9 might lack a little bit compared to the Galaxy S10. Now, the S10 was released with Android Pie, which was their new One UI update, but the Note 9 was released with Android 8.1. Now, you are able to get the One UI update, which I have on currently, but because it is a little bit older than the S10, I'm only going to go out on a limb and say the S10 might outlast the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 in terms of software updates. Now, it could be where Samsung, they're turning over a new leaf. They might make their Note line last longer in terms of software, but who knows at this point. I'm only going to assume based off what I know in the past, and maybe it'll go further, maybe it won't, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. So in terms of software, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the S10 might outlast it, but like I said, I really don't know at this point. Now, I talked about the cameras early on a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and hit on it a little bit more thoroughly. Honestly, not even. They're both very, very good sensors, amazing, one of the best cameras still in the market. The Note 9 has two 12 megapixel sensors on the back. They both have optical image stabilization. Very, very good cameras. You can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second. Literally, it's an amazing camera. The Galaxy S10 might be a little bit better because it does have an extra sensor. So there's two 12 megapixel sensors. They both have optical image stabilization just like the Note 9s, but it does add an extra 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor, which it allows you to get that fisheye lens type photo in a camera that you can carry in your pocket, which is so sick. They both can shoot 4K 60 frames per second. And like I said before, man, the Galaxy S10 is an amazing device. It's an amazing camera, but so is the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. If it's between both of them, I'll probably say the S10's is better, but that doesn't necessarily mean the Note 9's is horrible at all. If the Galaxy S10 is a 10 out of 10, no pun intended, the Galaxy Note 9's is probably a 9.75 out of 10. They're both extremely, extremely solid cameras, and there's really nothing to bash on either of these. Now, they both have front cameras, as you probably already know. Most phones now do have them. The Note 9 has an 8 megapixel sensor. The S10 has a 10 megapixel sensor, and really the main difference between both of them, in terms of quality and everything, they're both almost going to be the same. The Note 9 can shoot 1440p videos. The S10 can shoot 4K videos on the front camera, which is a pretty big deal in my opinion. That's kind of showing the movement, and that kind of future-proofs the S10 in a way, because that's a pretty big deal in my opinion. So in terms of cameras, they're both very, very good. Maybe the S10 has a little bit of an advantage though. Now we're going to go ahead and hit on battery life, and surprisingly, the Note 9 in my opinion has the superior battery life between both of them. They both have Qi wireless charging, but the Note 9 has a 4000 mAh battery, the S10 has a 3400 mAh battery, and they're both very good batteries. Even the S10 has a really, really cool feature though that is reverse wireless charging, and I think that's one of the coolest things ever. You can go and charge a Galaxy Note 9 from an S10, but you can't charge an S10 from a Note 9, so that's a pretty big discrepancy. I would say in terms of sheer battery quality after using both of them, the Galaxy Note 9 is the better battery life device, but the S10 has a really cool advantage where you can share wireless charging, which is amazing. So in terms of that, you're kind of stuck in a crossroads. But I would definitely say, like I said before, in terms of sheer battery life, the Note 9 probably has the advantage here. Now that kind of covers up basically every single thing I wanted to talk about, but there are a couple of things I still want to hit on. They both have micro SD card slots, which is amazing. That's something that no iPhone has, that a lot of phones still lack of, and they're even getting rid of, which is literally backwards. These phones do offer them, so that's something that they do share in common. A huge advantage for the Galaxy Note 9 is that it does have the S Pen, and that is an amazing cool little feature. You know, you have features on both of them that they don't necessarily share, like the reverse wireless charging on the S10, the triple camera setup on the S10, but the Note 9 does have that S Pen, which is amazing. That's such a cool feature, and I've been raving about it ever since I picked up my first Note, which was like a Galaxy Note 3 or Note 4 like years ago, and I still love this thing. Like, it's such a sick concept. I do personally feel like Samsung can take it up a notch a little bit, like maybe add some type of screen on it or something. I have no idea, that's really out there, but I really do think they could take it up a notch with the Galaxy Note 10, and hopefully they are able to do that. But ultimately, this is how I would kind of recommend them to people. If you can find a Galaxy S10 for a really good deal, let's say you have a trade-in value or whatever the case is, and you like a smaller phone, the Galaxy S10 might be the phone for you. But the Galaxy Note 9 in the used market, like I stated, is overall cheaper, and you have a better chance of finding a cheaper Note 9 than a cheaper Galaxy S10. And if you like a bigger phone, if you like a phone that has the S Pen, that has still amazing camera, great screens, you know, amazing features overall, and great battery life, a Galaxy Note 9 might be the phone for you. Now, I don't think either of these phones are horrible. I don't think, you know, one is way better than the other, but it kind of just comes down to which one do you like in size. But also, if you can't tell in the size, I would probably just default you to the Galaxy S10. It is noticeably smaller, has less bezel, and I do think the Galaxy S10 might be the better phone here overall, but I still like the Galaxy Note 9 personally for me. But the Galaxy S10 would be the phone that I would recommend to people as the safest option. But if you like a bigger phone and the Galaxy and the S Pen, the Note 9 might be the phone for you. So hopefully I didn't confuse anybody. I will leave links in the description for the cheapest one I find on Amazon, the Galaxy S10 or Galaxy Note 9. They'll both be down there, as well as the prices, so you can go pick them up from there and help support the channel at the same time. But that is pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave them down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.